Conor McGregor's return to The Ultimate Fighter is off to a terrible start, with back-to-back knockout losses, with the latest one via a vicious flying knee TKO. John McCarthy has since called out McGregor for his huge mistake he made on the show in episode 1 and why he's going to get dominated by Michael Chandler's team.
If Conor wins the toss, it's this blue coin, red coin. If Conor wins the toss, he gets to pick what group. If he picks the 155 and he picks the prospects, then Chandler automatically gets the UFC, cast-offs. And then Chandler gets the second one. So Conor goes and he wins the toss and he goes with the 155 prospects.
Stupid.
And I was like, have you lost your mind?
So dumb.
And it tells you everything you need to know about what he looks at in the fight. I understand why he did it. But if you're looking at this type of situation, this scenario, this whole format, God know you want to go with the guys who have had experience there and everything, right? And so Chandler gets the 155 UFC rejects, and he immediately goes with the 135 rejects. So he's got all the guys that have fought in the UFC. I'm like, well, this ain't going to go good for Conor.
Nope, it's not. I don't think Conor's going to win one fight. He may win one.
He may win one.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win.
He may win one.
Look, the bottom line is, anytime you have somebody with that type of experience, you got to go with the experience.
Oh, my God.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some young studs that are coming up. They just don't know what it's like to fight in front of Dana White and fight under the name of the UFC and fight in front of all. You've got Conor on one side, you got Chandler on the other. You've got corners that are from the biggest gyms in the world. You've got, finally, you're in the cage with the refs that have big names, right? Like all these things. You're like, man, this is a lot to take in.
Yep.
And you're fighting someone who has 5 or 6 fights in the UFC. They're not concerned about shit. They fought everywhere. They fought in probably PFL. They've probably fought in one. They've probably fought in LFA. They probably fought in ACB or whatever it is. They don't give a shit anymore. They have nothing to worry about. They're like, look, if I get a win, I'm back in. I'm good. Yep. I would have taken the cast-offs or whatever it was.
Oh, my God.
Way over the prospects.
Right away.
Big John also airs his concerns regarding the projected time frame for Conor's comeback.
I mean, you're saying half the views, 294,000 views. If Conor's like looking at it going, hey, people aren't interested in me fighting you, why would I take the chance?
Josh, what does Conor have to do for this fight to even take place?
What do you mean?
He's got to join the USADA pool.
He already has.
He still hasn't been tested.
Oh, they said he joined it, though.
Yeah, no. Still no. No. Yeah, still no.
Well,
when he first gets tested, that's when he's back in the pool.
Well, he's already signed back up for it, so I don't know what that means.
Been tested, so he's still not there. That means it's 6 months away.
John, I'm going to have to check your sources, man.
6 months, dude. It's like,
yeah.
I have nothing against Conor walking away. I understand, and I applaud him. There's no reason for you to fight anymore. There's nothing to prove. Okay? You've got all the money. Why do you fight? You fight for the money. Okay? You're a prize fighter. He likes the attention and everything, and that's fine. Great. But you've done all these things in the fight game, and you've done things outside of the fight game, and you've been a winner in those. You got nothing to prove, man.
Yeah.
What's the reason to do it? The only reason to do it is your ego.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to do it, but then jump back in the pool and let's get a date, but you still don't see a date.
No, and I don't think you're going to see a date for a while. I could see it potentially happening maybe like on the December card. I could see that, like the year end.
It's June. Yeah.
I know.
Okay, and this is the whole point. It would have to be. So if it's not in December, it goes all the way to 2024.
Yeah, it goes to the end of January or early February. Those are the biggest cards. But they always do that. The biggest cards are the end of the year, which is early December, or right before, a week or two before Christmas. And they do a big card to start off the new year around the end of January or the first week of February.
And Josh believes McGregor's management team may even reconsider fighting Chandler altogether after the horrendous viewership numbers from episode 2 came to light.
But does Conor look at this and go, people don't care if I fight you, and you're dangerous, so why would I fight you? Why would I not fight somebody else? I'm just being honest. Let me get a win under my belt. Let me bring more attention. Me winning is more important for the UFC than me fighting Chandler and Chandler potentially beating me. and me having however many losses in a row. I can see that. If there's no interest, why would he take the chance? The fight makes sense. If I'm the UFC, I'm going, man, this is going to be a fun fight. It makes sense. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the fight if it does happen. Are you?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. I think it's fun to watch. But
I think if Conor's agent and Conor sit down and go, look, the numbers weren't great for the Tough Show. Chandler's a real threat, and there's not really a lot of interest. There's not as much interest as we've seen before in other fights. Why take this fight? Let's pick somebody else. You know he's got the authority to do that.
And Beneil Dariush is fighting a former champion in Charles Oliveira at UFC 289 this weekend in Vancouver, Canada. While talking to the press, he makes it very clear that he would rather fight for the BMF title over fighting the winner of McGregor and Chandler.
As far as who I would prefer between the BMF or Conor or Chandler, I would definitely say the BMF. I think these guys are more active. I think if Conor wins and he beats Chandler, I know the UFC will give him a title shot, but I don't know if he's really deserving of it. So I think the BMF title makes more sense.
Beneil then predicted the winner of McGregor vs Chandler.
How do you think Conor McGregor will do against Michael Chandler?
So, to be honest with you, I think Chandler stylistically is a good fight for him, especially the Chandler we've seen the last couple of fights. Reckless, doesn't use a lot of wrestling, and seems to get tired, right? I would say stylistically in the top 5, that's the best fight for him. The issue now becomes, Chandler's been in the heat. He's been in the fights. He's been having these fights, and he's have tough fights, against good guys. So it's not like he's just coming off the couch. I think that's going to be the problem for Conor, is fighting someone who's been in that octagon and he hasn't been there in a while. But I think stylistically, Conor's striking is slick. Whether you like the guy or not, you have to respect his skills. He has very slick striking. His timing is definitely a little bit different than everybody else's. And I think his grappling is actually not bad either. He has good grappling. Now, can he put it all together and not get tired and find the finish on Chandler? That's the question. I'm still leaning towards Conor, but it's it like kind of wavers every now and then.
And former champion Rashad Evans also has a prediction for the fight. Here's what he said. The reps are always good, but let's be honest here. It's not about the reps as much as it's about the motivation at this point. I feel he needs to be motivated. And I feel like having a fight that kind of scares you a little bit will wake you up, and you don't want to get embarrassed. Those are the kind of fights that he really needs to put his efforts into, because he already knows how to fight. He's not going to relearn how to fight, but the thing about this is he needs that motivation factor. I've got to roll with Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's probably in the gym right now doing backflips with medicine balls. I mean, that's just the kind of intensity that he's bringing. He's already in Kill Cliff right now, training really hard, so I've got Chandler. Meanwhile, Henry Cejudo believes the fight might not happen at all, and advises other champions to call out McGregor to secure that big payday. People need to recognise and realise that if the champion wants somebody and he's able to create a storyline, the UFC could make it happen. Like if I was a champion at 170 or 55, Conor would be the first dude I would be calling out. That's a $10 million payday. But these guys, Leon Edwards, he has to sell that fight. He has to call for it and ask for it. It's a payday. Don't let your ego get the best of you. These dudes, they don't understand business. Conor's Conor, and he can fight at whatever division if he wants, but he also needs a champion as a dance partner to be able to make that fight happen. I can see them skipping Chandler. I can see Conor just saying, hey, I want this guy. Because Chandler's entertaining, but he's not a big name. There's no UFC belt around him. He's not a legend in the UFC. He's an entertainer of the UFC, but he hasn't got there yet. And I feel like Chandler, if he had the right tactics, he could potentially beat anybody in the world because he has the power and he has the wrestling. But I don't think he's really kind of put those two things together that's really helped him to become a little more well-rounded in the tactical sense. And Nate Diaz still wants the McGregor trilogy fight in MMA, and just maybe collide in the boxing ring too.
I would like to finish the trilogy for sure.
Would you do that in boxing or just in MMA?
Well, that would not be a trilogy in boxing. That would be a number one. So we could do some of those too. So I'ma let my chest poke out.
just a little. I'm headed to the top, can't stop in the middle. We are on the rise, so keep watching the sky.